So I hope to be able to share with you, with my limited experience, what I've learned about living an innovative life. I grew up in a family that had the motto that we make solutions and not excuses. I grew up believing that the status quo was there to be challenged and changed. And I quickly learned that it was really hard. Wikipedia defines innovation as to renew or to change. It's the process of changing the status quo. Over the past 23 years of my life, I've learned that regardless of your age, your situation, your talents, the resources that you have the choice to either make solutions to problems or to make excuses for them. And that the hardest solutions are the ones that require you to innovate. I often make excuses because I'm afraid the problem's too big for me. I'm afraid I'm not talented enough. I'm just afraid of how much hard work it will actually take. When it comes down to it, I'm afraid that I'll just fail. When I was in the 4th grade, my parents decided that I should learn a musical instrument. I wanted to learn the bagpipes. They brought me home a saxophone. They enrolled me in lessons. It was terrible and it was embarrassing. I couldn't keep a beat. My music instructor would grab my foot by my shoelaces and tap my foot to the beat of the music, trying to force me to keep a beat. I went home and told my parents, it's not my fault that I'm not talented, it's because of your genes. They reminded me of our family motto and told me to go start practicing and that I had to stick in the lessons. So I started to practice. And I would practice so late into the night that my parents made me practice in the garage. Over the next 6 years, I became one of the top-ranked musicians in the state of Utah for my age. I learned that regardless of your talent or lack of, with hard work and just wanting it more than anybody else and a lot of time, you can change your situation. But again, there's this fear of failure, and I don't know why it scares me. I don't know if it scares all of you. But when I was a junior in high school, I decided that I wanted to run for student body president. On the outside, I was extremely confident. On the inside, I was extremely self-conscious. So I was afraid that if I lost, it would mean that I was a failure. And I lost. And nothing happened. I didn't change. I was still the same person. My senior year of high school, my friends and I, we decided that we would plan a black tie dinner for a nonprofit organization that we were all involved with. This event quickly took on a life of its own. And this organization brought in a professional event coordinator because of how successful this event was looking. 2 months before the event coordinator informed me that students were no longer invited, because essentially we were a waste of space. We couldn't raise money. All we were good for was a cute story. We couldn't make a difference because of our lack of experience, our lack of resources, and her list went on and on. I went home, I was extremely upset, I was mad. Up until then, I completely believed that regardless of anything, if you wanted to, you could make a difference. But the fact was, the status quo agreed with her. So my friends and I, we decided that we'd plan our own event the night before. In 8 weeks' time, we organized 800 students and raised over $125,000, making it the largest student fundraiser in the history of the state. After that, I went to BYU, and I started interacting with very successful professors. And they all told me, so I remained involved in service organizations. And they said, this desire that you have to serve is fantastic. But now's the time to focus on business and your career. And once you're successful, then you can devote your time to solving society's problems. That way of thinking, I believe, is the status quo. You do not have to choose between making money and doing good. The problems that we face, many of them were created by business because it's devoid of the concern of society and the environment and the concern that's found in nonprofits. But many of these problems still exist because nonprofits lack the efficiency and financial sustainability that's found in business. we won't find the solutions to these problems by separating the for-profit and nonprofit world, but by combining them. Albert Einstein said, "The significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them." Business needs to be sustainable. It needs to be financially successful. It also needs to benefit the society and benefit the environment. 2 years ago, I was at an all-you-can-eat buffet, and I saw how much food I threw away as well as how much food everybody else threw away. And I come from a fairly entrepreneurial family, and it looked like a very interesting opportunity. I wondered if you could create value out of the waste stream in America. So I learned that in America, we throw away enough food to fill the BYU football stadium once every 3 days with nothing but food. In a world where thousands are going hungry, we throw away just as much food as we actually eat. We're taking a resource that could be used to replenish the soil, and instead we are poisoning the environment. CNN recently did a story saying that food waste is the single largest thing that we are doing in America to harm the environment. Like I said, it looked like a fantastic opportunity to create a business where you could make money and do good at the same time. So we created a business model that flipped typical business on its head, where all stakeholders and not just shareholders would be represented. A business model where not only were our supplies free, but we actually got paid to collect them, where every aspect of the business had its own revenue stream. A business where at the very core was environmental responsibility. The more successful we were, the more money we made, but also the greater of an impact that we made in the environment. But going from a dorm room project to a startup business is extremely hard. But the status quo was the catalyst for refining our business model. Every single day we would go to work and find that more than anything else, there were just a series of constraints, reasons why we wouldn't be successful. Innovation had to become a way of thinking. I wanted this to be so successful that I was willing to change. I was willing to adapt every single day. I wanted the outcome more than I cared about the actual process of how we got there. I was willing to ask for help. And because of that, we have been extremely successful. And through all of this, I've learned that no organization, no individual has a monopoly on innovation. Regardless of who you are, your situation, your resources, your talents, you can innovate. There's always a solution. And I'd like to end with a quote by Apple. It says, "Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." Thank you.